Wett und spielen after sudden you Rabbeinu wird das Teure sagen, ja, ja, mich schon mal werden wir trinken, dem Shabbat mit dem Leviassen werden wir essen. Auf der Dayenu. Und wer wird uns Chachmisse sagen, auf der Dayenu? Rabbeinu wird das Teure sagen, ja, ja, mich schon mal werden wir trinken, dem Shabbat mit dem Leviassen werden wir essen. Auf der Dayenu. Und wer wird uns tanzen auf der Dayenu? Tanzen, Schleime, Melech wird uns Chachmes sagen, Moshe, Melech wird uns spielen, Moshe, Melech wird das Teure sagen, und ja, ja, mich schon mal werden wir trinken, im Shabbat mit dem Leviassen werden wir essen. Auf der Wenn ich nehm der Mommen sich, wenn ich bin a Kind gewesen, in der Heim, in Städtele am Moor, in die schöne Winternacht pflegen wir spazieren gehen, und Chalamen, Chaloines Natzor. Oi, wie dem wollt ich gewähn, asoi harzig, asoi schön, wenn mir Flänge geht vorbei die Schul. Der Hasen, so schöne Stimme, hat geklingen, so frimm, bei dem Omer mit Preisgefühl. War Rosen, sein ein Tag, das schifft euch mal. Wird sein ein Tag, das schifft euch. Tag, das ich hiewet Tag. Wie war größer der Römer, wird sein, Tachas, Shivetoi. Immer wird sein ein Tachas, Shivetoi, immer wird sein ein Tachas, Shivetoi. Tachas, Tachas, Shivetoi. As Abendken nicht von Frieden geblieben ist in Herz bei mir. Was ist geworden von mein Städtele? Was ist geworden von mein alter Herr? Oi, wie es bängt sich nach mein Städtele, mein Jugend hab ich doch verbracht in dem. Das Gessene, das Schuliche, wie herzig und wie schön, das Bäumele, das Milchel, weil ich es genossen Was ist geworden von mein Städtele? Was ist geworden von mein alter Herr? Das Geselle, das Schuliche, wie herzig und wie schön, das Bäumele, das Milchel, will ich vernachsehen. Was ist geworden von mein Städtele? Was ist geworden von mein Talmud Torah שאין להם שיעור בפיה, והביכורים והעריות, וגמילות חסדים וגמילות חסדים, ותלמוד תורה. תלמוד תורה. אין דברים שאין להם שיעור Von dir, du
start right. It's gonna be a, Want to start?
Yeah.
You think it's time? Welcome, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Happy Pesach. We're starting on page 194.
ושמחת בחגך והייתך שמח ושמחת בחגך והייתך שמח ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די ירדאי די ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די די ושמחת בחגך והייתך שמח ושמחת בחגך והייתך שמח ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די 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 ירדאי די ירדאי די ירדאי די 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da yada da yada da da da.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, what a very sweet crowd. It's so wonderful to see you all. I love that we have balcony buddies, and the balcony folks are in their usual spots. It's great to see you. Everybody's in their usual spots, but it's great to see everybody. We certainly have a very sweet, committed crowd. I can tell there'll be lots of ruach in the room. I'm not worried. And it's wonderful to see those on Zoom who are joining us by live stream. I always get Zoom and live stream confused, but if you're watching us by YouTube live stream, we're really happy that you're here too. So Chag Sameach, or Moadim L'Simcha, would be the more appropriate greeting, because we're not actually in Chag, we're not in Yantiv, we're now in the in-between days of Pesach. So I'm wishing you a very happy in-between days. I am hoping that, unlike me, you are not sick of Pesach food yet. I already am, but I hope that you're not. Yes, and it's a special week. It's a special weekend because it's the lineup of, we're in Pesach, it's Ramadan, and it's Easter this weekend. So it's a very holy, happy weekend. So welcome, and we're happy to have you in whatever way you're celebrating. And we're happy to have you back. We had a wonderful, wonderful Passover Seder here on the first night of Pesach. It was wonderful to see. This room was filled with over 80 people, which was incredible. The room was transformed. It was really beautiful. And for those that had their Seder away from us, we're happy that you're back. And just maybe by a show of hands, who went out of state for Pesach? Did anybody go out of state? Yeah. Okay, just one out of stater. So welcome back from out of state. I went to Connecticut last night, so I came out of state. And most people stayed in the New York area, I'm taking it. Okay, great. Tanya is going out of state tomorrow, so we're sending you Nisiya Tova. And I want to welcome anybody who is here for the first time. I think we have mostly a lot of old-timers here, but if anybody happens to be here for the first time or first time in a long time, please raise your hand. We'd love to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Yes, please. Just say your name and where you're from. Aaron from the Upper West Side. Just like upstate a little, yeah. It's really great to have you, Aaron. Anyone else here for the first time or first time in a long time? First time this week. Very good. Wonderful. Well, it's really great to see you all here. And I just saw that Sasha Gogolin and her family are here, and Sasha is celebrating her bat mitzvah tomorrow morning. And we would really love to invite Sasha and her whole family up to light the Shabbat candles with us. So we're on page 38 for lighting the Shabbat candles, and please come up and light the candles with us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Mazel tov to Sasha and your whole family. Thank you so much. So let's rise and be with each other, put our arms around each other, and welcome in the Shabbat angels. Shalom Aleichem, page 40.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You may be seated. So I do feel that there's a sort of festive holiday spirit in the air, which is it's really a lot of sweetness, and the Jewish calendar feels that too. Actually, we don't do a traditional Kabbalat Shabbat and Mariv service anytime that there is these intermediate days of a holiday. Also on Sukkot, we have Sukkot at the beginning, we have Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah at the end, and in the middle, we don't do a Kabbalat Shabbat service. Also on Passover, also on Pesach, we have our either one or two Siddarim, depending on which way you observe, as we did. We had the first Seder here. And then in the intermediate days, before we have the 7th and 8th day of Pesach, we're sort of at this heightened sweetness level. We're certain this heightened level of sort of spiritual joy that we have just purely from living in the holiday. So instead of doing Kabbalat Shabbat, which we don't do on the intermediate days of Passover, we will hear Shir HaShirim, verses from Shir HaShirim chanted by Cantor Rosen. That'll be on page 44. And then we'll hear a beautiful song by a composer who now lives in Israel, and that will be in your program on page 4. So 44 for the verses of Shir HaShirim, and 4 in the program.
Shir HaShirim asher lishlomo yishakeni min shkot pihu כי טובים דודיך מיין. כשושנה בין החוכים, כן רעייתי בין הבנות, כתפוח בצי היד, כן דודי בין הבנים. הינך יפה עינייך יונים, מבעד לצמתך. הינך יפה עינייך יונים, מבעד לצמתך. הינך יפה עינייך יונים, הינך יפה עינייך יונים, הינך יפה עינייך יונים, מבעד לצמתך. כשושנה בין החוכים, כן רעייתי בין הבנים. כשושנה, 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 כשושנה.
Now it feels like we should have that every week, doesn't it? So beautiful. So that's from Shir HaShirim, which is the traditional scroll that is read on the intermediate days of Pesach. It is the love story that is told and that Cantor Rosen just sang from, which has become in some circles to be the love story between God and the people of Israel, but is also actually just an extremely beautiful love poem. And the words that we just sang are, like a lily among thorns, so is my darling among the youth. Like an apple tree among trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the youths. How beautiful are you are, my darling, how beautiful. Your eyes are like doves behind your veil. Even though it is the intermediate days of Pesach and we don't do Kabbalat Shabbat, it is still Shabbat. And so we do sing the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92, like we do every single Shabbat, which reminds us that even if we're maybe not in the joyous, highest of places, like we might be because we're in this holiday state of mind, even if that's not the experience that you're feeling when you walked into this room, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if it's not, or if it is, this psalm comes to say to us, no matter what you are, no matter what state you entered into this room in, it is still Shabbat, and it is still time to pause. Shabbat comes every week, in and out, no matter what else is going on in our world. And every week we have the chance to pause and give gratitude, give thanks, to say, I'm just going to pause right here in this moment and just think of how lucky I feel to be sitting in this room, to be hearing the music of Cantor Rosen, to be surrounded by loving community, and taking this time for myself. Psalm 92, page 72.
Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir leyom haShabbat. 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 Tov lehodot l'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נוות, עלי היגיון וכינור, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רנן. מזמור, מזמור, שיר, שיר ליום השבת. מזמור, מזמור, שיר, שיר ליום השבת.
Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu on page 78.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Oops. Please join with me on page 84, Let Evening Come. Let evening come. Let the light of late afternoon shine through the chinks in the barn, moving up the bales as the sun moves down. Let the cricket take up chafing as a woman takes up her needles and her yarn. Let evening come. Let dew collect on the hoe abandoned in long grass. Let the stars appear and the moon disclose her silver horn. Let the fox go back to its sandy den. Let the wind die down. Let the shed go black inside. Let evening come. To a bottle in the ditch, to the scoop in the oats, to air in the lung, let evening come. Let it come as it will, and don't be afraid. God does not leave us comfortless, so let evening come.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך וברך שמו.
המעריב ערבים.
Amen. Page 86.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך וברך שמו.
אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Please read the next two paragraphs of the Shema individually.
Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Please join me and turn to page 227. Let's read together. If we speak truthfully about the pain, joys, and contradictions of our lives, if we listen to others with sensitivity and compassion, if we challenge the absence of women in traditional texts, the chronicles of Jewish history, and in the leadership of our institutions, Dayenu, if we continue to organize, march, and vote to affirm our values, if we fight economic injustice, sexism, racism, and homophobia, if we volunteer our time and money, Dayenu, if we break the silence about violence against women and children in the Jewish community and everywhere, if we teach our students and children to pursue justice with all their strength, if we care for the earth and its future as responsibly as we care for those we love, if we create art, music, dance, and literature, Dayenu, if we realize our power to effect change, if we bring holiness into our lives, homes, and communities, if we honor our visions more than our fears, Dayenu velo Dayenu, it will and it will not be enough. Page 94.
יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Amen.
Page 98. Before we enter Hashkivenu tonight, I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes. I want you to think of one person, just one person, who you want to send a little bit of peace to right now. Might not even be somebody who you're that close with, or somebody who you particularly have been in contact with recently, but somebody who you know might just need a little bit of extra strength, a little bit of extra koach or peace, or a little bit of extra love in this moment. And just take one brief pause and send them as much love and light and peace as you can. Blessed are you, Adonai, who spreads your canopy of peace over all of your people Israel, over the whole world, and over Jerusalem.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol ha'amim, ve'al Yerushalayim הפורש סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל.
Page 102 for Vishamru. Please rise in body or spirit as we move deeper into welcoming Shabbat together. 102.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We'll say the Chatzi Kaddish together on page 104, and then we'll take time to pray the silent standing prayer, the Amida. For tonight, there will be at least one time that you just have to make sure that you're adding in the special insertion for Passover. So have your eyes be looking. You can look in the English, you can look in the Hebrew, you can just notice if you'd like, but there will be a special insertion for Passover on page 110. And I think other than that, there's no other, I don't think there's any other special places where we need to insert, but you can all let me know if I'm wrong. And just take this time to think through, let go of whatever it is that happened in the week that just passed, the Passover, the siddur that just passed. Just focus on this moment, being right here, what it is that you need inside. Take a little bit of time for yourself. Chatzi Kaddish is on page 104, and the Amida begins on page 106.
ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד דברה קילותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום ביכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו
If you're still davening, praying to yourself, please continue at your own pace. And when you're done, you can find a seat. I want to just turn to Modim, the Modim prayer, which is on page 112. It's the Thanksgiving prayer. We say it actually in every single Amida service. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday or Shabbat or a regular weekday. Whatever service you're in, this prayer is always included. It's the prayer for giving thanks, much like Tov Lehodot, the Modim prayer. And the very end of the prayer says, Hatov kilo kalu rachamecha v'hamrachem kilo tamu chasadecha, which translates as, your goodness and your kindness never ceases, and your compassion for your mercies never end. Therefore, we always have hope. But I have a teacher who used to take this phrase and say, sometimes it's not so easy to give thanks. Sometimes we have a lot of things to be thankful for, and it is. And sometimes we're going through something harder, and it's not so easy to give thanks. And so his teaching on it is that you can sort of twist the words, and it's instead of saying that your goodness and your kindness never ceases, you can say your goodness and your kindness is not always so complete. And your mercy is not always, it says your mercies never end, but you can also read that word tamu, which means end here. You can also read it as tam, simple, like the simple child that we read about in the Haggadah. Your mercies are not always so simple to understand. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. So I love that little part. Your goodness is not always so easy, and your kindnesses are not always so simple. And yet still we give thanks, and yet still we can have a little bit of hope. We're on page 4 in the program for an absolutely beautiful rendition of the Chol Dor Vador by Alana Arian.
בכל דור ודור חייבים אנו לראות את עצמנו כאילו יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים. בכל דור ודור חייבים אנו לראות את עצמנו כאילו יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים. Can you picture yourself crossing through and wandering the desert? Can you feel the wind support you as you go? Do you hear the cries of those left behind, still hoping for tomorrow? Do you fear the mountain you still have to climb? בכל דור ודור לראות את עצמנו כאילו יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים. יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים, יצאנו ממצרים. Shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, hu yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
Mishaberach imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah Rachel Bilha v'Zilpa v'avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, Bilha, and Zilpa, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov bless us too. Bless and heal all those who are ill. Tonight we are thinking of Bellamy Bellucci, Ruthie Berman, Ron Cohen, Joyce Cook, Jeffrey Flansburgh, Logan Grace Finkel, Lester Gribbetts, Ellen Ratner, Sue Rosansky, Barbara Schultz, Merrill Soloway, Kurt Wagner, Chaya Sarah Bat Hendel Razel Shoshana, and Eliezer Ben Sarah. May they and all who are ill be blessed with a full and complete healing, a healing of spirit and a healing of body, together with all those who are ill among the Jewish people and among the world. May those who will not be healed on this earth be blessed with nights free from suffering and days filled with peace. May God grant strength and comfort to those who care for the sick. May God help us to find hope and courage as we face fear and loss. May all who are ill be surrounded by the love of friends, loving companions, families, and community. And let us say, Amen. If there's anybody here who led a Seder or helped lead a Seder last night or the night before, I invite you to stand up at your seats. If you led a Seder or you helped lead a Seder tonight or the night before, please, yes, stand up. Don't be shy. It's okay if you just helped part of it. That's good. All right, so I would like to invite all of our Seder leaders to read the prayer for our country. It's in the program. I tricked you. It's on page 6. You'll all read the top part together. Yes. All right, I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1. Our God, God of our ancestors, bless this country, grow in it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances, to be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us to feel our fear so that we do not become numb. Help us to be generous with others so that we raise each other up. Help us to be humble in Amen.
Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you. Page 138 for Kaddish Shalem.
ויתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה ועלמד יברכלותי והמליך מלכותי בחיי חונה וימכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן תתקבל צולות הון ובוד הון לכל ישראל קודם ובהון וישמעיה ואמרו אמן יהי שלום רב מן שמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום ממרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. אמן.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to be here. This is wonderful. I want to say thank you to Jason, who is helping on tech, and Sharon on chat. Thank you so much. And thanks to Lynn and Sally and Gomez for the wonderful hospitality greeting, as always. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to Cantor Rosen for gorgeous, gorgeous davening and playing. Thank you. So tonight I want to start with the words of our late, great lesbian spiritual poet, Mary Oliver, who wrote, "If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happened better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb." So now I want to shift into thinking of the Pesach story and our own story, both. The Passover story is our collective story of freedom. But like many stories, it doesn't have a perfect beginning or ending. When is the exact moment of liberation? Is it when the plague of the firstborn skips over the Hebrews' houses? Is it when they decide to leave at midnight in that chipazon, in that rushed sort of, we have to get out of here now? Is it when they cross the sea? How about when they get to the other side? How about Mount Sinai? Is it after the golden calf? It's hard to pick out one moment and raise it above all others, and I could see an argument for many on the list. However, if I was going to pick one, at least tonight, don't hold me to it next year, tonight I would pick the moment at the Red Sea, when they choose to cross. They walk through the sea on dry land. They taste freedom for the first time. And then two distinct things happen in the text. The first, Moses sings a song, which becomes known as the Song of the Sea, Shirat Hayam. And second, Miriam leads the Israelites through the sea with song and dancing, you can practically feel the words in the Torah of the elation and the relief and the joy jumping off the page. This is the moment of freedom. Avadim hayinu ve'ata b'nei chorin. We were slaves and now we are free. This is how Moses' song begins. And some might know it in sort of a sing-songy voice, actually. It begins like this. Az yashir Moshe uvenei Yisrael. And I'm not going to keep going, but that's how it goes. So it goes like that. So it begins like this. Az yashir Moshe. And the commentators take note of this very interesting beginning word, az. Usually in the Torah, when somebody does an action, like speak or talk, the regular formulation used is Vayedaber Moshe, Moses spoke, or Vayomer Adonai, God spoke. So for those that know Hebrew and can follow along with me here, if this song were to follow the normal Torah grammatical rules, the way it should potentially read is Vayashir Moshe, Moses sang. Am I getting too nitty-gritty? Everyone's good? Okay. I'm moving out of the grammar, don't worry. Okay. But that's not what it says. It says, Az Yashir Moshe. And that little word az at the beginning makes a big difference. Az is basically translated as so. So. And it means that the whole passage becomes translated as, so Moses began to sing. As in, it was not a premeditated act. This wasn't a poem he had written or composed months in advance. It wasn't something he pictured himself doing. It wasn't even something God commanded him to do. This was a spontaneous act of joy. The commentators make a point of saying that once he and Bnei Israel were walking through the sea, Moses was so moved by the miracle, by that taste of freedom, that he burst into spontaneous, joyous song. In contrast, the text teaches us, Miriam came prepared. She led the women through the sea, singing and dancing the whole way with her timbrel. The Midrash asks, where did she get the timbrel? The answer is she brought it with her in the rush of leaving Egypt in order to use it for this exact moment. She brought it purely to use in moments of joy. Miriam, who in this exact moment in the song is called Miriam the prophetess, foresaw that there would come a time where there would be a need for joy. Miriam saw the need for singing regardless of what might come to pass. So now let's shift into thinking about our own collective story, not our ancient story of biblical freedom, but where we are living right now in North America. In this sort of funny post-lockdown, post-knowledge of coronavirus world. A lot has shifted and gone back to normal, as we say, but there are also major parts of us that are very much changed and very much scarred from that time. I think a lot of how it affected people of all ages very differently and very starkly. And I actually particularly think a lot about kids who had to go into a Zoom learning environment. It's sort of hard for me actually to pick out one age group, because then I start thinking of all the different age groups that were so deeply affected. I think of parents who had extremely young children and how hard that must have been. I think of college students who were supposed to go away to college and how or who were in college and their whole lives were disrupted. I think of people, younger people who had whole plans and dreams shifted because of the pandemic that have still not gone back to normal. Really, people of any age, I think, have gone through an emotional, deeply sort of collectively traumatizing experience, and we're still coming out of it. And what I think is true for everyone, every single age group, is that I think that there's a bit of an epidemic of loss of joy, or the type of joy, at least, that we get to share with others. A loss of connection to other human beings, a loss of shared experience. And it's not even our fault. Our worlds have gotten so small that we can now work from home on our computers. order groceries and clothes at home from our apps on our phones, communicate with people from our phones and our computers, unwind at the end of the day by watching TV on our phones and our computers. Our whole lives can fit inside one little tiny box. And yes, actually, of course, some of that is very cool and amazing and connecting. I don't want to take away any of that. But it also makes it really hard to find new and shared joy. There's a part in the Haggadah as we go through the practice of telling the Exodus story that says, B'chol dor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. We just heard Cantor Rosen play it so beautifully. And I said this a lot during the Seder, how I think this is sort of the essence of the mitzvah of telling the Passover story. We're obligated each year in telling the story to see ourselves as though we are truly part of the story, a part of the Exodus, a part of the moment that Bnei Israel was tasting freedom for the first time. We must imagine ourselves there in order to participate in the mitzvah of Passover. It's part of the commandment. But there's another tradition about this exact commandment. It's from Rambam, or Maimonides. He had the tradition of reading it as, Bechol dor vador chayav adam leharot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. In every generation, a person is obligated to, and here is where we have to do a little bit of translation work, leharot, to proclaim, to express, to display, to in some way make known that they have gone through the Exodus experience. Rambam's reasoning is that it's not enough to simply imagine yourself there. Because, and here I'm going to quote, because if you can really imagine yourself there, then your ecstasy and your joy, the joy from your heart, from becoming free, both spiritually and physically free from enslavement, would be so great that if you could really internalize that and feel it, then we would all have to be conspicuous and visible about that joy, and not just store it away in the recesses of our hearts or our imaginations. So all that to say that this Passover, in honor of being free, in honor of the commandment of putting ourselves in this narrative, might I suggest that the way to express our freedom is that if you suddenly and spontaneously feel joy, if you have any small thing in your life that delights you, in the spirit of freedom, be loud about it. Don't keep it tucked away. In fact, go forward towards it with full speed. In order to remember Moses, who was loud about his own joy, and in order to remember Miriam, who understood that humans need joy no matter what else is happening around us, and we need it especially now. And above all, to remember that joy is not meant to be a crumb. Shabbat Shalom. All right, now we got to find our spot again. Aleinu. Yeah. Turns out it's Aleinu. Page 140, please rise in body and spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer bereshit, shebara otanu betzalmo, ונפח בנו את נשמת חיינו, שהעמיק אותנו בלימוד תורתו, וקידשנו במצוותיה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אבן בתורתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
So usually after Dayenu we sit, but if you're able, actually please remain standing because we're turning to page 228 for the counting of the Omer.
Echoing.
Yes, there's some mumbles of recognition. Oh yes, that thing that we do every year sometimes. So of course we start counting the Omer from the second night of Passover, which was last night, all the way up through Shavuot. So we will count from now until Shavuot. Anytime we are together as a community, we will count the Omer together. And we will say the introductory prayer and the blessing together, all together, and then we will count the day of the Omer. But there's this funny practice, which you may remember from years past, that we don't say in advance what day of the Omer it is. I know. We have to say only what day yesterday was, and then all of us can use our powers of intuition, the sechel that God gave us, and intuit what we will say when we eventually count it. So this is what I will tell you. Yesterday was day 1. So we start by this introductory calling in. We say, Hineni, I am here, I am ready to fulfill this mitzvah. I find it very beautiful that we start with these words. It makes me feel like just that there's something very personal about what we're about to do. Even though we're doing it collectively, there's something very sweet about saying, it's me, I'm here, I'm the one doing it. So we'll read Hineni Muchanu Mezuman in English, and then we'll say the bracha in Hebrew and in English together. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer, as it is written in the Torah, from the day on which you bring the elevation offering, the day after Shabbat. You shall count 7 complete weeks. You should count until the day after the 7th week, making 50 days. Now in Hebrew we'll say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Hayom shneni yamim la'omer. Today is 2 days of the Omer. Very good, everybody. You may be seated. I think I said shnei. So now we pause to remember those we've loved and lost in this season or in this time of year in seasons past. This week, CBST marks the yortzites of members Paul Feynman, Elena Yuka Torke, H. Wayne Barty, Dick Radvin, Randy Hirschberg, and Sandy Levitt, as well as family and friends of members Alfred Friedman, Shirley Hauser, Ede Heldeman, Samuel Pierce, Oscar Comras, Mark Howard, Sadie Maltz, Leah Orleans, Sylvia Weiss, Robert Weber, Belle Horowitz, Salo Winshower, Solomon Golub, Harry Post, and Matilda Lipka. And we want to extend special condolences to member Stephen Fisher and his partner Ira on the death of Stephen's mother, Phyllis Janet Fisher, who died April 1st. If you're in mourning or observing a yortzeit, or it's your custom, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 150. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaychon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. And I'm delighted to call up board member Noemi Maslia for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, from the board to everybody, Chag Sameach. Okay, and welcome to CBST. In the words of Sabrina Farber, how wonderful to celebrate Shabbat in community with all of you here in the sanctuary and all of you wearing slippers and munching on matzah on live stream. So thank you to Abal Tefillah, Cantor Sam Rosen, and thanks to our service leader in Drashan, Rabbi Werber. I can't say it. Anyway, and thanks to Lynn and Gomez, welcoming committee, and to Sharon, my Hebrew buddy up there on chat, and to Jason Civic, All Things Tech. So now for the events. Join us tomorrow at 10 for our liberal minyan service, where we will celebrate the Bar Mitzvah of Sasha Gogolin, led by Rabbi Werber and Cantor Rosen. Welcome, everybody. I'll be there. I can't wait. And join us again at 8:30 on Zoom for Havdalah. Tune in on Sunday at 7 p.m. and Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. for Creating Liturgy, a personal prayer workshop taught by rabbinical student Ariel Tovlev. This two-part workshop explores how to write your own prayers inspired by modern poetry. Just bring an open heart and a willingness to explore. This class is offered for free, but as a board member, I must ask you to make donations. They're very welcome. And join us on April 10 at 7:30 for a discussion of medical cannabis, weeding, love that pun, weeding out fact from fiction, led by Dr. Kenneth R. Weinberg, Chief Medical Officer at Cannabis Doctors of New York, who knew, who has treated hundreds of patients with diseases across the spectrum of conditions, I'm sure. And that is co-sponsored by Aging Together, Aleinu, and Lador Vador. Join us, this is on Zoom and also in person, on Thursday, April 13 for Pesach Day 8, Yom Tov service, starting at 10 a.m. These services include Yiska and Tefillah Tal, the prayer for the dew. Join us on Friday, April 14th, 12:45 to 2:30 p.m. for our monthly House of Peace visit to the Islamic Center at NYU. We meet there it's at 238 Thompson Street. You don't have to make an RSVP. You can come and go as you wish. And as you know, our Muslim friends are now celebrating Ramadan until April 21. And we're organizing volunteers to help serve a community iftar, which is their breakfast. Email Harold Levine at hslevine@gmail for details. And next Friday, join the Aging Together solos and solos of all ages for appetizers and schmoozing at 5 p.m. at Golda Meir's Tavern. Oh, no, it's Goldie's Tavern. I'm sorry. Across the street from CBST. You can RSVP in the newsletter and on the CBST online calendar. Shabbat Shalom.
I don't know, Noemi, you have a career and announcement giving in front of you, I think. Right. So I want to say a thank you to all those who sponsored Kiddush and live stream this evening. Sponsored by CBST board, clergy, and staff, wishing joy, gratitude, and congratulations to Sasha on the milestone of your bar mitzvah, the Shabbat Chol HaMoed Pesach, Mazel Tov. Also supported by Linda, Solomon, and Bonnie Siegel, wishing everyone a sweet Passover and good health to all our friends and family who are not well. Michelle Zalkin, and gratitude to my teachers and staff at CBST who helped make my bar mitzvah a joyful occasion, and to my wonderful brother Saul for his support. And also by Carolyn Rapport. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by the Gogol and Neuwirth family. We are grateful to family, friends, and the CBST community for joining us over this Passover Shabbat, and so happy to be celebrating Sasha's bar mitzvah together. And I didn't say earlier when you guys came up to light the candles, very brave to have a bar mitzvah on Pesach. And there is a very delicious-looking oneg downstairs, all kasher LaPesach treats. Very impressive, thank you. It's also sponsored by Rachel Monaco and Jennifer Resnick in memory of our beloved nephew Robert Hubert Werber, Zichrono Livracha, on the anniversary of his third yortzeit. He is sorely missed by his wife Danielle and his daughter Lexi, as well as Randy Sarikoff and Mickey Dickinson in honor of Randy's grandmother Sadie Maltz, Zichrono Livracha, on her 26th yortzeit. The memory of Grandma's love and teachings continues to shape our lives. She is greatly missed. Now, page 194 for a little bit more joyous celebrating in all of our sweetness of Pesach. 194.
ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח 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 Ya na na na, ya na na na, ya na na na, na 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 na, ya na na na, ya na na na, ya na na na, na 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 na. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח 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 Ya na na na, ya na na na, ya na na na, na 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 na, ya na na na, ya na na na, ya na na na, na 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 na.
Please rise in body and spirit for Kiddush on page 156.
יום השישי ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Ooh.
Look how sad this is. All right, so you're going to hold with me, and everybody else can somehow be connected.
No, I don't have to. We'll come. Yeah, very good. Very good. All right, yeah, it's a zigzag, but it's good. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbos. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, la 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 la. ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח, ושמחת בחגיך והיית אך שמח. יא לה לה לה